Hello, my name is Henrique Schuh, and today I'm going to talk about my accident that is China Airlines Flight 140. This is the presentation outline that I will follow. First, I'm going to talk about the accident background, then about the timeline, then the cause, then the investigation, and at the final, I will present the aftermath and the consequences. So this is the accident background. It happened at April 26th of 1994. It was a Tuesday, and the accident happened in the beginning of the night. The aircraft was an Airbus A300 operated by China Airlines, but first the aircraft was from a Japanese company. Then this company sold the aircraft for China Airlines. The total airframe hours is 8572 hours. About people who died in the accident, we have about the crew members who all died. About the passengers, 70 still alive, and I searched more, and 13 is still alive nowadays. So 264 persons died in this accident. Related about the departure airport was located in Taiwan, and the destination airport was located in Japan. Both airports are not big airports, so this is just a fact. So I make this timeline to show the sequence of the accident. So at 20:07, the aircraft was during a landing procedure. So they capture the ILS glide slope, and they switch the frequency to Nagoya Tower. The weather conditions at the time were good. I read at the final report, and they mentioned that the weather conditions were not a contributional factor to the accident. So when they were passing about 1,000 feet, the first officer, with not intention, he select the go around mode during the landing procedure. So this make the aircraft increase thrust and make the nose up, and they climb about 150 feet. So the first officer was the pilot flying, and the captain did not quickly identify the mistake of the first officer. So about 15 seconds later of this increase of thrust and climb of the aircraft, the captain identified that the go-around mode was selected, and he think that the go-around mode has been turned off, but had not. So the first officer tried to correct manually with a forward yoke, but had no effect because the go around mode was still engaged. So lack of communication about the decision done because the first officer didn't tell the captain about what he was going to do. Continuing, during the landing procedures, the captain decided to turn on the autopilot to recover the ILS glide slope, but he had he had no effect because the go-around mode was still engaged. So to understand what was happening in the aircraft, I will show this picture, because the autopilot, the go-around mode, was actuating in the horizontal stabilizer. And the pilots with the forward yoke was moving the elevator. So no commands has effect, because one mode was making the other have no effect. During continuing the timeline, so passing through 700 feet, the autopilot was disengaged again by the captain, but the horizontal stabilizer was in a minus 12.3 degrees. So this makes the aircraft pitch up. In the same time, the pilot tried to reduce the thrust to loss altitude, but this makes the aircraft increase the angle of attack. So the first officer was the pilot flying, but the captain took over controls because all these problems that were happening. So the captain decided to go around, because they were not established in the landing procedure. So they retract the flaps to 30 degrees to 15 degrees, and this makes the angle of attack increase more and more, and the high speed or the airspeed reduce to a critical number. So the aircraft reached a maximum of pitch angle of approximately 53 degrees until the stall warning and the subsequent stall. And at the final, the aircraft was stalled, and he fell 3,000 feet, but impacting the ground, the tail first, and burst into flames. So here I have this diagram. I select some factors that I think was some reasons of the accident. So equipment failure, didn't show the right selection mode about the go around or the autopilot. And in this part I have CRM training that has lack of communication between first officer and the captain. And personal factors, because the captain and the first officer was flying night hours until this landing procedure. So maybe they were tired, and the final report write this with showing that this could be a contributional factor for this accident happened. So cause an investigation, the first officer inadvertently triggered the go lever, the go around mode. The captain didn't tell the first officer that he's going to activate the autopilot. So the go around mode was engaged and the autopilot, and the aircraft didn't make anything. So the divergence between go around mode and the autopilot. The cause in the investigation shows that the captain and the first awareness of the flight conditions was not so good, and the training program about Charter Airlines was deficient, and about the crew coordination between the captain and the first officer was inadequate. In the final report, we can see a lot of communication between the captain and first officer, but this communication was in local language, Mandarin, I think, and I could not translate to English or Portuguese to understand, but the final report tell that this coordination between pilots was inadequate. So the investigation prescribed modification in the Airbus A300 system to accept just one mode, or autopilot or go around mode. Here I have the aftermath and consequence. The AAIC, that is the Federation Authority of China, make 8 safety recommendations. I bring just 2, that is the most important. So about review of logic of Airbus A300, and require China Airlines to implement the following: reinforcement of education and training programs to flight crews, mainly about communication between pilots. So they have to improve this education about communication, to don't have this miscommunication between pilots and about between captains and first officer about the decisions done, and this could prevent future accidents. And that's it. Thank you.